Don't get on the train. Go home. Hide in the closet. Don't ask questions. You'll understand soon. Her hand was cold when she pressed my phone back into my palm. I should have laughed and kept walking. Instead, I stopped. My name is Elena Morel. I was 29 that year, a financial analyst, practical to the point of irritation, the kind of woman who trusted numbers over instincts and logic over drama. I didn't believe in omens. I didn't believe in strangers with urgent warnings at crowded stations. And I definitely didn't believe a silver-haired woman in layered scarves somehow knew enough about my life to interrupt it. I had been hurrying to catch the 6:40 train to Daniel's place. We were supposed to go over seating charts, final payments, the tedious details of a wedding that was now only 3 weeks away. My life looked stable from the outside, structured, safe, predictable. And yet, something in the way she said it stopped me. Not theatrical, not mystical, certain. So instead of boarding, I turned around and went home. At 7:12 that evening, I was standing inside my bedroom closet in complete silence, one hand over my mouth, feeling absurd among coats, storage boxes, and a pair of boots I hadn't worn since January. I nearly stepped out twice. Then I heard my front door unlock. Daniel walked in like he belonged there. I wasn't supposed to be home. He had a key for emergencies. That was what he'd called it when I gave it to him 2 years earlier, back when love still felt simple. Back when he kissed my forehead and called me his future wife like it meant devotion instead of access. He didn't call my name. He didn't hesitate. And a second later, I heard another sound. High heels. Then, a woman laughing softly. My whole body went still. For months, something had been wrong. Daniel had become short with me, distracted, secretive with his phone. He criticized small things he used to ignore. The way I worked late, the way I dressed, the way I wasn't present enough. Every shift in him came with the same explanation. Wedding stress. I believed him because people like me are very good at identifying risk in professional settings and embarrassingly talented at excusing it in love. Through the closet door, I heard them move into the living room. I heard the couch give under their weight. I heard the clink of glasses. He had brought wine to my apartment with another woman. Then I heard him say, in the easiest, most casual tone I had ever heard from him, I told you she'd be on that train. The woman laughed under her breath. You're sure she has no idea? He laughed too. That was the moment everything inside me changed. Not when I realized he was cheating. Not when I heard her in my home. When I heard the certainty in his voice. This wasn't messy. This wasn't impulsive. This was arranged. Trust me, he said. She never questions anything. She thinks I'm overwhelmed about the wedding. The woman made a pleased little sound. And the condo? I felt my pulse in my throat. Daniel answered, once the honeymoon's over and the paperwork settles, it's basically ours. She won't even understand what happened until everything's already moved. Moved. My mind started pulling pieces together so fast, it made me cold. The past month replayed in fragments. Daniel insisting we simplify finances before marriage. Daniel persuading me to combine certain accounts for efficiency. Daniel pushing me to transfer most of my savings into a joint investment structure he said would benefit us both. Daniel using trust as leverage every time I hesitated. You're ruthless, the woman said, sounding impressed. No, he replied. I'm organized. I remember gripping the shelf so hard my fingers ached. I was waiting to feel heartbreak, to feel devastation, to feel the full emotional collapse that was supposed to come with discovering your fiancé had turned your future into an extraction plan. But what I felt first was clarity. My laptop, my passwords, the insurance paperwork, the legal forms he had rushed me through, the signatures, the access privileges. The beneficiary update from last month that he had framed as the responsible thing to do before marriage. Then Daniel said, after tomorrow, she won't be a problem anymore. The woman went quiet for a second. You're sure about the timing? She'll be on the 6:40, he said. I told her to take the train because traffic's a mess around the bridge tonight. My throat tightened. That rail line had been in local news for weeks. Deferred maintenance, signaling issues, service warnings. No one seemed too worried about until they became impossible to ignore. "You're not worried?" she asked. He gave a short, amused laugh. "I'm not pushing her. If something happens, something happens. Accidents happen every day." Accidents. It is one thing to hear that someone plans to use you. It is another to realize they have already factored in your possible death with the same emotional weight most people assign to weather. I understood him then in a way I never had before. If I had gotten on that train, maybe nothing would have happened. Maybe it would have only been delayed. Maybe it would have been a miserable commute and nothing more. But he had sent me there hoping uncertainty would do what he was too cowardly to do himself. And if uncertainty became tragedy, he would have survived it beautifully. The grieving fiancé, the sympathetic almost husband, the man left behind with the money, the insurance, the story. I stayed where I was. I didn't burst out. I didn't scream. I didn't confront him. Something inside me had gone beyond panic and become very still. They thought I was gone. They thought I was harmless. They thought they had time. That meant I had an advantage. A few minutes later, I heard them move farther down the apartment. I unlocked my phone and started recording audio first, then video through the narrow opening in the closet door. Not much, just enough. Faces, voices, the wine glasses, their comfort in my space, his words in his own voice. Evidence. I uploaded everything immediately to a private cloud folder Daniel didn't know I kept, a backup system he used to tease me about. I listened until I heard the bathroom door and running water. Then, I slipped out barefoot. I took my laptop, passport, external drive, checkbook, and every folder on my desk that contained signed financial or legal documents. I left through the front door as quietly as I could and drove 2 blocks away before I let myself breathe fully. I did not sleep that night. By 2:17 a.m., I was sitting in my car outside a closed pharmacy with my laptop open, untangling my life line by line. First, I logged into the joint investment portal. Daniel had access, but so did I. I froze all pending transfers scheduled for the next morning. Then I triggered a compliance review using the exact language I knew would force human eyes onto the account. Possible financial coercion, suspicious beneficiary manipulation, unauthorized asset movement. I knew which words institutions took seriously. Then I emailed our attorney. The subject line was simple: wedding postponed, urgent documentation attached. No emotion, just timestamps, recordings, copies of recent paperwork, and a written summary of the circumstances. At 6:35 a.m., I contacted the insurance provider and requested an immediate hold on all beneficiary modifications pending investigation. At Chest, Tritsit Debit, I texted Daniel. Trains delayed. Thinking of coming home instead. The typing bubble appeared almost instantly. No, stay there. I'll see you later. No concern, no question, just redirection. Panic is easiest to spot when you know what someone sounds like when they are pretending not to feel it. At 7:05, I sent a shortened version of the video to one more person. Daniel's mother. The message said only, "Ask your son about the 6:40 train." Then I turned my phone off and waited. When I switched it back on at 9:12, I had 37 missed calls. Most were from Daniel. A few were from his mother. 3 from the attorney's office. There was one voicemail from Daniel that I listened to twice, not because I needed clarity, but because I wanted to hear what fear sounded like in his voice. "Elena, what is this? Why is my mother calling me crying? Why is the account locked? Call me back, now." Gone was the polished calm he used on investors, colleagues, and me. Gone was the man who described himself as efficient. By noon, the compliance team had suspended every transfer tied to the account pending review. His access had been restricted. I could see repeated failed login attempts in the activity history. Desperation leaves a digital trail. At 1:03 inches the afternoon, he came to my apartment. This time, I was inside, and I was not hiding. He pounded on the door hard enough to rattle the frame. "Elena, open up. We need to talk." Need. That word almost made me smile. I opened the door slowly. He looked terrible, pale, unshaven. His shirt wrinkled, his confidence gone. No smooth expression, no practiced charm. Just a man who had expected obedience and found consequences instead. "You misunderstood," he said immediately. "It was a joke. You heard things out of context." "About accidents?" I asked. His mouth opened, then closed. "I didn't get on the train," I said. For the first time since I had known him, Daniel looked frightened of me. Not because I had screamed, not because I had threatened him, because I was calm and he no longer knew what I had. He started talking fast after that, the way liars do when they realize control is slipping. "You always do this," he said. "You hear one thing and make it bigger than it is. You're ruining everything. Everything. Not us. Not the wedding. Not my trust. Everything. The account. The plan. The version of events he had already started living inside." I watched him very carefully and asked, "If I had boarded that train and something had happened, would you have cried at my funeral?" He didn't answer. He could have lied. He was good at that. But silence arrived before strategy did. And that silence told me more than anything else. His phone buzzed in his hand. He glanced at the screen, and whatever color remained in his face disappeared. The review had escalated. The insurance freeze was active. Our attorney had withdrawn. And his mother, I suspected, had finally asked him a question he could not charm his way around. "You sent it to her," he said quietly. "Yes. She thinks I tried to." "You did." The words sat there between us, blunt and impossible to soften. He looked at me like he still wanted room to negotiate, as if truth was just another contract to edit until it favored him. But the moment for that had passed in my closet the night before. He left without shouting, without slamming the door, without dignity. 2 days later, I learned the 6:40 train had not crashed, but it had been delayed for hours because of a signaling malfunction near the bridge, an accident waiting in the dark for the right conditions. I never saw the woman at the station again. Sometimes I think about her when I pass through there on my way to work, and I still don't know what unsettles me more. Whether she somehow knew something about the train, or whether she saw something about Daniel the same way I should have seen it months earlier. Maybe she saved me from a disaster. Maybe she saved me from a man. Maybe, in the end, those were the same thing. Either way, I listened. And because I listened, I got my life back before he could turn it into his.